hi, and welcome to Steph Time. I'm Steph, and today I'm going to show you how I made this shirt. It is the Olya shirt by Paper Theory Patterns. It's a really awesome design, and the construction is very unique. So if you're wanting to make yourself, or perhaps anyone you know, a button-up shirt, please keep on watching. I made this one out of a thrifted linen curtain, so really the options are endless with this one. And if you like this video, give it a like. And if you want to follow along, give it a subscribe, because I love having you here, and honestly, it really helps me out. And without further ado, let's make this shirt.
All right, so first things first, we are going to cut out all of our pattern pieces, as well as transfer any markings and notches onto our fabric so that we don't have to reference our paper pattern pieces throughout construction. This part is a little bit more work in the beginning, but it really saves you time throughout the construction process, so I really recommend it. Next, we are going to construct the sleeve placket. This is my first time constructing a sleeve placket, so you'll just want to follow the instructions indicated in the pattern for this. We are basically putting two facings and then sewing it down and cutting through the middle to fold it out. This just creates a nice edge and allows for the overlapping of the sleeve placket to look really nice, as you can see here. If you guys want a sleeve placket tutorial, please let me know. It's quite a bit to go over in a time-lapsed video, so comment down below and let me know if you'd like to see that.
This is what it looks like. It's got a little weep, and this is where it'll like go to the cuff and be like, oh my gosh, look at, I'm unbuttoning my shirt. There it is. Cute!
As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, the shirt construction is pretty standard with a couple of fun twists. So here I'm constructing the yoke of the shirt, which consists of a two-piece yoke encasing the back, including a grown-on upper bodice onto the sleeve pattern pieces. I know it sounds crazy, but I'll show you guys in the close-up photos. And we're sewing that onto the bottom bodice pieces and serging that to have a nice finish. Next, we are constructing the sleeve to bodice connection, which requires that you snip and turn at a right angle, which is a really fun added technique in the construction of this shirt as well. This took a bit of learning and getting used to, but once I got it, it provided a really clean finish, and I'm really happy with the result. And I'm also going and serging all of those edges as well for a clean finish. All right, then we're going to line up the seams from the armpit to the wrist of the sleeve, and we are going to sew that closed. And we are also going to use a serger to make sure that that raw edge is clean as well. And we'll also repeat this for the other side. Now that we have attached the front yoke as well as the sleeves, we can top stitch the upper sleeve seam. We're starting at the chest and working our way down towards the cuff on each side. This takes a bit to maneuver since you're sewing from the chest into the sleeve that's already sewn, but just take your time to ensure you're not accidentally sewing over anything you're not meaning to. And this is where we ended for the night. And next we are sewing on the button placket. We're sewing it onto both sides using a stitch in the ditch. And next we are constructing the collar. We're trimming down the seam allowances, turning it inside out, and poking those corners out real nice. And sandwiching the collar stand pieces around it and sewing it down. We will also be trimming this seam allowance down as well before turning it right side out. Next, we are attaching the collar stand piece to the neck hole of the shirt. And next we will fold down the collar stand piece and sew that down to attach the collar fully to the shirt. This process is also a bit finicky, but I promise if you take it slow, you also can do it. I'm using a stitch in the ditch foot, which helps a lot. All right, next we are doing the actual sleeve cuffs. So sewing them right side together with a little bit of seam allowance folded down. I'm sewing them, cutting down the seam allowances and trimming the corners, folding them right side out and poking the corners out to be very sharp. All right, once your cuffs are prepared, you're going to line right sides together, the cuff and the end of your sleeve, making sure that the fabric is evenly distributed before you sew it on. Since the inside of the cuff already had the seam allowance pressed in, we should be able to tuck all of the raw edges inside of the cuff and stitch in the ditch to ensure that all of our raw edges are encased in the cuff. Again, just take it slow. You might make mistakes like I did here, so just have your seam ripper ready to go and you'll be fine. Just take it slow. And you too can fix your mistakes like I did. I just ended up unpicking everything and lowering the stitch line and the seam allowance to make sure that they were even. This took a little bit of trial and error, but alas, they turned out nice and I even got a little picture of it.
Here's where we're at on the shirt. I think it's looking really, really awesome. And I basically just need to hem the shirt and add on buttons. So let's just get into it.
You heard me. I hemmed the shirt to make it really nice. And then I also added buttons. But I used this opportunity to go through every single button I owned and organize all of my vintage buttons I inherited from my grandmother. Because last time I checked, right in the middle of a project is a great time to give yourself about 100 options from all of the buttons that you own. So now's about a time as any. We have them organized now, but I landed on these. So here are the button choices. And I did a little poll on my Instagram, so if you ever want to be a part of the real-time decision making, make sure to follow me over there. But so far multi is winning and these are tied. All right, then I sewed my buttonholes onto my shirt using the markings provided in the pattern. And then I lined up my button placket and marked a dot through the hole of each buttonhole to mark where my button should go. I always do my buttonholes first and then add my buttons. I then decided on the order I wanted the colors to be in. I used a piece of Scotch tape to tape in place where the button should go on the placket before using my buttonhole foot to sew them in place. I also did this for the cuffs of the sleeves as well. I then trimmed off all of the loose threads and tried it on.
This is the shirt. I went with the multicolored buttons because it's something I know I can change, and I kind of wanted to experiment a little bit. But I wanted to show you guys some of the details of the shirt because it's constructed in a really fun way. See that like right angle? This part here and the sleeve are all one. So the top of the bodice and the sleeve are all one piece, which I think is really fun. I had never constructed a shirt in that way before. This is what the back looks like. And that's me popping my back.
Ladies and gentlemen, her.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. If you plan to make this shirt, comment down below what fabric you plan on using. I want to make a couple more, definitely one out of flannel, maybe silk. And yeah, I just loved having you here. I hope you learned something. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Say bye. Look at this shirt. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm the girl who has everything? What do you think?